Howdy, y'all, and welcome to all you horror homies for another entry of my 2025 series of horror homies. We today are talking about another recent-ish horror film. So, those of you who are longtime horror fans are aware that the Universal Monsters series, to this day, remains a classic set of films. Over the years, however, Universal has tried different ways to keep them in the limelight through reboots, through sequels. You name it, they've tried it. We've had some success over the years with the 1999 The Mummy film from Stephen Sommers, starring Brendan Fraser. The sequel, the Mummy Returns, the not-so-great threequel, which I won't even mention because it's not really worth mentioning beyond that. In 2017, we had the release of a new Mummy movie starring Tom Cruise. It was supposed to really kickstart the Dark Universe, cinematic universe for Universal. It bombed hard with the money aspect and with the audience score. It bombed. There was already an Invisible Man film in the wings waiting to have its chance to shine, to take on the expectations. However, things had to be reworked, and thank goodness, because we were able to get this stellar entry in the world of horror. Thank goodness. Starring the beyond emotional in this film, Elizabeth Moss, who really sells the terror and the world of PTSD thanks to the wonderful directing of Leigh Whannell. Sorry, not pronouncing that properly. This was released in 2020. It was one of the films released close to the shutdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think it shocked a lot of people. This had a very low budget. I think it was less than $10 million. And it made back so much money. Had very little marketing. Probably because the marketing really kick-started around the time that the first cases were entering the States. But having a movie that's about terror of the unknown, what you can't see, really strikes a chord when you're dealing with the unknown terror of a worldwide pandemic. Elizabeth Moss plays this character that we call C, even though her name is Cecilia throughout the film, and she starts off the film escaping from her abusive romantic partner, Adrian, who is a tech CEO and more than a bit of a sociopath. You watch her escape, you learn shortly after she's starting to heal, not being around his presence, that he may no longer be amongst the living. However, with it being called the Invisible Man, you can guess things are going to go down. She starts becoming more paranoid, things are happening around the house, she's staying with this friend who's a police officer and his daughter. I kind of sense some romantic chemistry between her and her friend, but they never really capitalized on that. I'm sad about that, but I also understand because she was in no mental state to adapt a new romantic relationship. So it is what it is there, but the tension is felt all throughout. There is some violence, but it's not gory violence. It's more thriller-like violence where you just get a snick or a snack of blood from time to time. Fires are set, knives go flying from out of nowhere. The trailer, don't watch it if you want to be surprised, has a pretty terrifying sequence with a paint can leaking out over something in an attic. And I don't think the tension ever overstays its welcome. I don't think Elizabeth Moss ever has a moment where she's not believable in her horror, in her paranoia, which is proven to be justifiable. I think the film wraps up with an incredible climax that doesn't take away from the growth that C has to deal with throughout the film itself. I'd love a sequel, of course, because Universal has talked about a sequel. Lay has talked about a sequel. But is it necessary? No, most definitely not. It's not necessary. The score cuts out when appropriate, when you really want to increase that tension. And that really helps illustrate the sense of terror and emotion you're supposed to feel alongside C during those sequences. Not a complaint at all. In fact, I just rewatched it today as part of my own personal viewing, because as I mentioned, I try to watch, read, or play at least 31 different horror-themed things throughout the month of October every year. Even though horror is not a month, it is a feeling. That's all I have to say about The Invisible Man 2020. I think you should check it out. However, it is currently streaming on Peacock. If it does disappear, please check out JustWatch.com. They are a wonderful source of information for where you can find films, television series, and the like on different streaming services, whether they're available for free with a subscription to a service or just available for rent. They really are a great source, and this is not a sponsored video. I just use them very frequently myself because, especially with franchises like the Resident Evil franchise, it can be hard to figure out which film is on which streaming service. If you like this content and you want to see more, please by all means like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification of future content. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok as either #1Animaniac or Animaniac1. If you have a favorite Universal Monsters movie, be it an original, a sequel, a reboot, this film, please comment below. Let me know. At the end of the day, I want to thank you for watching any of my videos. Please stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks again for watching, and be well. Watch out for the invisible horrors within our world.